On the morning of my 15th wedding anniversary, I went looking for tape in my husband's closet. There was a shoebox on his top shelf, sealed shut, with the tape I was looking for. People say you always know. That somewhere, in some quiet back room of your mind, you knew the whole time. I used to think that was just something women said to sound wiser than their heartbreak. Sitting on our bedroom floor with that box in my hands, I found out what everyone meant. There was no screaming in what came next. No broken plates. Something quieter, and much more permanent. 9:14 in the morning. I remember the exact time because the oven timer was running for the cake, and I was wrapping his gift on the bedroom floor, and 15 years deserves good wrapping, and all I had needed was tape. I sat with the box in my lap for a long minute before I opened it. My hands already knew. Hands always know first. Inside was a phone. A cheap one, the kind you pay cash for. Switched off, wrapped in a gym towel I had washed maybe 100 times. I guessed the passcode on the second try. It was my birthday. I still don't know what to do with that detail. The messages went back 7 months. There was nothing cinematic in them. That's what I want you to understand. No hotel names, no poetry. Just two people talking every day, easily, the way he used to talk to me. Good morning, beautiful, sent at 6:40. At 6:40 I am in the kitchen, making his coffee. I expected fire. What came instead was a terrible stillness, like a house after the clock stops ticking. I sat on the floor until the oven timer went off, and then I got up, and I took the cake out, because it was a good cake and it wasn't the cake's fault. Here is the part nobody warns you about. The finding is not one moment. The finding is every moment before it, standing up at once and introducing themselves properly. The gym, twice a week, for a man whose gym bag never smelled of anything but cologne. The phone that started charging in the car instead of the hallway. The new passcode on his real phone, for work, he said, and I nodded, because trusting him was a habit with 15 years of muscle behind it. And do you know what the loudest sign was? He got kind again. Out of nowhere, last spring, he started complimenting me the way he did when we were dating. I told my sister it felt like a second honeymoon. Nobody tells you this. Some men are sweetest right before they leave. It isn't love coming back. It's guilt, tipping the waitress on the way out. He had also started saying my instead of our. My weekend. My plans. My future. One pronoun at a time. He had been moving out of our marriage for months, and I had helped him pack without knowing it. Now, I know what you're expecting. Tears, a phone call, a confrontation in the kitchen at noon. I thought about it. I stood with his number on the screen and my thumb over the button, and then I put the phone down and made a list instead. Grief does different things to different women. Some of us fall apart. I became a surgeon. By 11 I had photographed every message and sent the copies to an email he has never heard of. By 12 I had called an old classmate of mine, the one who became a divorce lawyer, and she cleared her afternoon for me. Somewhere in the middle of all that, I noticed my hands. They weren't shaking. Not once, not even a little. 15 years of loving a man, and my body was filing him away like paperwork. That frightened me more than the phone had. By 2 I had pulled every document that mattered from the safe, the deed with my name on it, the account statements, the paper trail of the down payment my grandmother left me. The girl at the print shop asked if I was having a nice day. I said I was planning a surprise for my husband. Every word of that was true. At 4 I picked up his suit from the cleaners, because the routine had to look perfect, and routines are what husbands like mine trust instead of their wives. And at 5, I did the one thing I am still proud of. I took his little phone, and I typed a message to her, in his voice. Come to the house at 8 tonight. It's time. Then I deleted it from the sent messages, switched the phone off, and put the box back on the shelf, sealed, exactly where it lived. Lies like to be kept exactly where you found them. Then I set our wedding china on the table. 3 plates. He came home at 7 with flowers from the good florist. The gilt kind. Roses so perfect they looked like an apology someone else had written for him. He saw the table and smiled. 3 plates, he said. Are we expecting someone? I said an old friend might stop by, and he kissed my cheek, and he smelled like a stranger wearing his cologne. We sat. He poured the wine. And then my husband raised a glass and gave a small speech about 15 years, about how lucky he was, about how I was the best decision he ever made. He was good at it. Smooth, warm, word perfect. And that was the moment the stillness in me finally turned into something with edges. Not because of the affair. Because of the fluency. I smiled and touched his glass with mine, and under the table my foot was resting on the folder my lawyer had flagged with little yellow arrows that said sign here. At exactly 8, the doorbell rang. I have replayed the next 10 seconds many times, and they never lose their taste. I opened the door. She was dressed for a very different evening, holding wine, mid-smile. The smile lasted until she saw the table behind me, and the candles, and him, standing up so fast his chair went over. Nobody said a word for 5 full seconds. I counted. It seemed fair. I'd had since 9:14 that morning. They could have 5 seconds. Sit down, I said. Both of you. I cooked for 3. She looked at him and asked what this was, and I watched him try to find a sentence, any sentence, in a mouth that had been so fluent an hour ago. I never knew silence could be that loud, or that I could enjoy it that much. I put the little phone on the tablecloth between them, like a centerpiece. You left this in the closet, I told him. It's been very busy for 7 months. Then I gave her the kindest thing I had. The truth. He texts you good morning at 6:40, I said. I make his coffee at 6:40. He has never once been talking only to you. She looked down at the wine she was still holding, as if she'd forgotten it existed. Then she set it on the table, very carefully, in front of the 3rd plate. She took her coat, and she walked to the door without giving him a single look. On the doorstep she turned, to me and only to me, and said, I'm sorry. I didn't know there was a 15. And here is what nobody expects. I believed her. We had both been living with a stranger. She just hadn't been doing it as long. Then I slid the folder across the table to him, past the roses, careful of the candles. Signed everywhere it's yellow, I said. The house stays with the name on the deed. You can keep the flowers. He said my name once, in that soft voice men save for emergencies, the one that used to work. 15 years it worked. It had simply picked the wrong evening to stop. My suitcase had been in the car since noon, next to a box with my grandmother's photographs and exactly none of his things. It's strange, what you take. 15 years in one suitcase, and the heaviest thing in it was the passport. I took the cake, too. I paid for it, and it was excellent, and I refused to leave it hostage. The crying came later that night, in a rented kitchen that echoed, and here is what surprised me. It was smaller than 15 years deserved. Turns out I had already done most of it, months in advance, in small quiet installments, without ever knowing what I was crying about. He called 41 times that first week. I counted, the way you count anything you are weaning yourself off. The messages came in stages, like grief with an agenda. First angry. Then sorry. Then poetic, he had never once written me poetry while he had me. And finally, in week 6, short and practical, through his lawyer. He signed everything where it was yellow. The other woman never contacted me again. His mother did. She said, I raised him better than this. I told her she probably had, and that grown men build their own closets. The house sold in the spring. My half bought a small bright place where the kitchen window faces east, and there is not one shelf in it holding anything I haven't opened. People ask me now why I didn't scream that morning. Why I made the man dinner. Screaming is for when you still want something saved. I wanted the record to show that I knew, that I cooked, that I set the table like a woman with nothing to fear, and that I walked out with my spine straight and the cake in my hands. Some women burn the house down on their way out. I just stopped keeping it warm. And if tonight you're sitting in a kitchen of your own, with a stillness where the fire should be, remember, precise women don't lose houses. What was your last straw? I read every story in the comments. Some of yours deserve their own episode.